They say some hurts come quietly, like a glass raised in a room full of people who smile while slicing you open. My sister lifted her wine and said, clear as daylight. Then, with that familiar smirk, "Where's your husband and kids?" "Oh right, you don't have any." The laughter that followed wasn't loud. Maybe that's what made it worse. Soft cruelty always cuts cleaner. My parents didn't defend me. They smiled like it was harmless teasing, just a joke, just a Sunday, just their oldest daughter's dignity on the table next to the mashed potatoes. I froze, fork hovering midair, heat climbing up my neck. They saw me as incomplete, like my worth expired because I didn't come with a partner and children. My sister raised her eyebrows, pleased with herself. That was the moment something in me stopped bending. I set my spoon down, looked straight at her, and said quietly, "Where's your money, Brooke?" "Oh right, I've been supporting you until today." Silence hit the room harder than any shout, but it wasn't the kind of silence that ends a moment. It was the kind that starts something. You don't forget a silence like that. Because what came after it, no family should ever do. Before I tell you what that silence led to, tell me where you're listening from. Just so I know I'm not the only one who's ever been laughed at by the people who should have loved them most. I'm Grace Whittaker, 32, UX researcher, Capitol Hill, Seattle. From the outside, my life looks neat. Clean apartment, steady job, quiet mornings, the kind of calm people mistake for doing okay. But half my paycheck disappears every month into the same black hole it's fallen into for years. My family. Mom, once a nurse, forced into early retirement by heart surgery. Dad, former economics teacher turned part-time consultant, which is just a fancy way of saying waiting for work. And my sister, Brooke, the self-declared fashion influencer whose biggest talent is influencing my bank account balance. Rent, credit cards, car repairs, her messages always start with, "Hey sis, can you help me just this once?" Every once becomes another month. I used to believe that's what good daughters do. They keep the house from collapsing. They pay the bills. They sacrifice until sacrifice becomes routine. Every Sunday I drove down to Tacoma for family dinner. Roast chicken, rolls, polished silverware, the same pictures on the wall, Dad with clients, Mom in her scrubs, Brooke at her high school pageant, smiling like she invented sunlight. Not a single photo of me alone. I'm always on the edge of every frame, half-cropped, present but not centered, useful, never celebrated. Still, I brought wine, listened, cleaned up. They talked about Brooke's latest brand event, Dad's potential clients, Mom's rising medication costs. When dinner ended, Dad would pat my shoulder like I was a coworker doing overtime and say, "Thanks for keeping things steady." On the drive back to Seattle, some nights I told myself, family is messy, this is normal. Other nights I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white, wondering why guilt felt heavier than love. And then last Sunday's dinner happened, the one that split everything wide open. The moment they laughed at me for not being married, something old inside me finally tore, but I didn't blow up, I didn't cry, I just saw the truth clearly for the first time. That night, after driving home through rain and headlights that smeared into streaks on my windshield, I opened my laptop. My bank history stared back at me line after line, year after year. More than $80,000 gone. Tuition, mortgage payments, repairs, medications, Brooke's never-ending emergencies. I hovered over the recurring transfer I'd set up for my parents. One click. Cancel. It felt like cutting the rope that had kept me underwater for 7 years. The next morning came the messages. "Mom, sweetheart, the mortgage payment didn't go through." "Dad, you forgot the house transfer." "Brooke, hey sis, can you Venmo me, rent due." By evening, guilt turned into anger, turned into accusation. "You can't do this to your family. You owe us. You're being dramatic." I didn't respond to any of it. Instead, I started saving everything, messages, receipts, bank logs. Something in me whispered, this isn't over. And then the text came. "Come home Sunday, we need to talk." It wasn't an invitation, it was a summons. So I went. Not to apologize. To end this the right way. The house looked the same, peeling paint, flickering porch light, the smell of old coffee. but stepping inside felt like walking into a courtroom. Dad sat at the head of the table, hands clasped. Mom busied herself with napkins, avoiding my eyes. Brooke leaned against the counter, scrolling. Grace, Mom said stiffly, we can't live like this, the bills. I know, I said. Dad's voice sharpened. Then why stop helping? This family depends on you. Help, I said, isn't supposed to be demanded. Mum flinched, you're being cruel. No, I said, calm as ice, I'm being honest. Brooke laughed, wow, someone grew a spine, congrats sis. You mock me for not having a husband or kids, I said, but you've treated me like your second parent. Her eyes snapped up, excuse me. Dad slammed his hand on the table, watch your tone. Respect goes both ways, I replied. Brooke scoffed, without us you'd have no one, you'd die alone with your spreadsheets. Maybe, I said, but at least I won't die in debt. And then, slowly, I placed a thick folder on the table. What's that? Dad demanded. Proof, I said, every payment I've made, $84,000. You're keeping score now, Brooke snapped. No, I'm keeping evidence. Then I slid another document forward. A loan declaration with my forged signature. Dad's face drained of color. You took out a home equity loan using my name, I said. The bank confirmed it. Mom gasped, we did it to protect the house. No, I said, you did it because you assumed I'd clean up your mess again. Dad's voice dropped, low and dangerous. You think you can threaten us? This isn't a threat, I said, it's a deadline. I told them about the lawyer, Rachel Tran. About the investigation. About the charges that could follow if they didn't fix everything within 30 days. Identity theft, forgery, fraud. Brooke whispered, you wouldn't. Try me. The room went silent, heavy and suffocating. Mom started crying, softer this time, real fear behind the tears. Dad stared at the table. Brooke looked like she'd finally run out of excuses. I gathered the documents and walked to the door. You'll fix the mess yourselves this time, I said. I'm done being your safety net. 2 weeks later, Rachel called. You're cleared, she said, your name is off everything. Just like that, the weight disappeared. I celebrated alone with a glass of wine, watching the skyline blur into gold. Then, a week later, I saw it online, the Tacoma house listed for sale. The home I'd saved from foreclosure twice. Now stripped down and priced to go. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like consequence. Mom texted soon after. One last dinner before we leave, please come. I went, not for them, for closure. The house was boxed up, bare walls, hollow rooms filled with echoes. Dinner was quiet, no jokes, no guilt, no expectations. Afterward, I finally said what needed to be said. I'm not cutting you out of my life, but I'm no longer responsible for your choices. If you fall, you get back up yourselves. No arguments, no anger, just acceptance. When I walked out of that house for the last time, it felt smaller, like the weight of it had shrunk now that I'd stopped carrying it. Back in Seattle, life slowly became mine again. I focused on work, took the promotion I'd been avoiding, enrolled in a night course, started saving for me. Some nights I still replay that dinner, that laughter, that breaking point. And I've learned this. Love without boundaries isn't love. It's servitude dressed as loyalty. Saying no isn't betrayal. It's survival. Now when I watch the sun drop behind the skyline, the silence finally feels like peace, not punishment. Question for the audience. Have you ever reached a point where you had to draw a line with your own family, and what finally pushed you to do it?